So, the other day I was scrolling through my community posts and I saw this one comment. Krishnamachari Srikkanth does not deserve a documentary. And honestly, that made me stop and think. Because if you just look at his stats, 4,091 ODI runs at an average of 29.01 and 2,062 test runs at an average of 29.9. It's not exactly Bradmanis, not even Rohit Sharma level. And if you put it on paper, it doesn't scream legend. So why do people still regard Srikanth so highly? Why do old fans smile the moment his name comes up? Well, because behind those numbers lies a legend, a man who changed Indian cricket forever. When Srikanth finally walked away from the scene, he had scored more runs and more centuries in ODIs than any other Indian cricketer at the time. And he made them in a style that was pure audacity, attacking bowlers at a pace India had never seen before. He made life miserable for some of the finest and fastest bowlers in the world. And if Indian batting had always been about caution, about the tick-tick of the scoreboard moving slowly, Srikanth was the guy who turned up the volume, smashed the remote, and redefined fearless batting. Because remember, India before Srikanth was used to Sunil Gavaskar, Chetan Chauhan, and Gundappa Viswanath. Calculated, conservative, classical batting. Then came this madman from Madras who said, "Arey, first ball sahi marenge." Before Jaisuriya, before Sehwag, there was Chika. You could even say he was the original bass bowler, doing T20 in the 80s, when the rest of the world was still figuring out how to bat safely till lunch. Srikanth was born on 21st December 1959 in Madras, Tamil Nadu. And like every proper South Indian middle-class family, he was expected to be an engineer. And guess what? He actually did it. He graduated as an electrical engineer from the College of Engineering in Madras. So yes, Chika could fix your ceiling fan in the morning and pull Malcolm Marshall for 6 in the evening. But see, what set him apart was not academics. It was his eye. Srikanth had a gifted eye and lightning-fast reflexes. In first-class cricket, his style was so attacking, selectors probably thought, if nothing else, at least crowd entertain hoga. By 21, he was already in the Indian team. And suddenly, India had an opener who batted like it was gully cricket on Marina Beach. Now his debut, like many greats, wasn't great at all. In 1981, he played his first ODI against England, duck. 2 days later, his test debut in Bombay, duck again. At that point, people probably thought, engineering hi theek tha iske liye. But no, he had a point to prove. And in the very next test, he smashed 65 in the first innings. And suddenly, selectors realized, wait, ye banda alag hai. And they were right. The big moment came in 1983, the World Cup. Srikanth opened for India and scored 156 runs in the tournament. Doesn't sound like a lot now. But remember, 1983 was an era where 250 was a winning total. In the final against West Indies, against the likes of Malcolm Marshall, Andy Roberts and Michael Holding, Chika top scored with 38. Only 38. But bro, that was like scoring 120 in today's flat pitches. His fearless approach gave India the platform. And we all know how that story ended. Kapil lifted the trophy. And Indian cricket was never the same again. 2 years later in 1985 came the World Championship of Cricket. Again, India won. Again, Srikanth was key. He was the highest run getter of the tournament with 238 runs. And in the final against Pakistan, he top scored with 67 from 77 balls and won the Man of the Match award. Chika was literally Pakistan's headache that day. Between 1986 and 1988, he hit his peak. 2 test hundreds, 4 ODI hundreds, and tons of blazing 50s. He was India's most feared pinch hitter long before that word even existed. And in December 1988, against New Zealand at Vizag, he did something extraordinary. Scored 70 runs and took 5 wickets in the same ODI. Only Viv Richards had done that before him. So, for one day, Kris Srikkanth was basically Viv Richards. And you can bet, he didn't let anyone forget it. Now let's talk about his style. Because numbers alone cannot explain Chika. He was a fantastic player of fast bowling. In an era where Indian batsmen mostly played with fear against pace, he had no such issues. His reflexes were so sharp that pulling and hooking weren't just shots. They were his natural instincts. If the ball was short, he whacked it. If the ball was pitched up, he cracked it like it owed him money. The contrast with his long-time opening partner Sunil Gavaskar was hilarious. Gavaskar was all about patience and discipline, while Srikkanth was all about देखते हैं क्या होता है. If Gavaskar was the North Pole, Srikkanth was the South Pole. And yet, somehow it worked. Gavaskar himself admitted that Chika's batting liberated him, gave him the freedom to play more shots. Basically, Chika was the bad influence your parents warned you about, except it actually made things fun. Of course, with great entertainment comes great inconsistency. Srikkanth was brilliant, but he was also unpredictable. One day he'd destroy the most fearsome attack. The next day, he'd lose his wicket to a part-timer bowler gentle off-spin. Selectors used to tear their hair out, but by the mid-80s, he had added some discipline to his aggression, and he held on as India's regular opener till 1989. Now, don't forget, Chika wasn't just a batter, he was a brilliant fielder too. In an era when Indian fielders were, let's be polite and say, enthusiastic but not athletic, Srikkanth stood out. He saved runs, took sharp catches, and stood out as one of India's first modern fielders. Someone who actually enjoyed being out there. Now, after all this, if you still say his average wasn't great, fine. But his true value went way beyond numbers. He gave Indian batting an attitude. He gave it swagger. He proved Indian openers didn't have to flinch at fast bowlers. They could hit back, literally. And most importantly, he rewrote the script of how India approached opening the batting. Without Srikkanth, maybe there'd be no Sehwag or Rohit walking out with that fearless aura. So yes, Krishnamachari Srikkanth may not sit with Tendulkar, Gavaskar, or Dravid when it comes to stats, but he was a true game changer. India's first fearless opener, the man who entertained a nation and gave us a new way of looking at batting. He averaged 29, but those runs were worth gold. He made bowlers sweat, fans laugh, and cricket unforgettable. Not the greatest, but truly one of the most impactful. That's Kris Srikkanth, or as fans still lovingly call him, Chika. So guys, that's it for today's video. If you want to see how good was Gundappa Viswanath or Mohinder Amarnath, click on the videos being displayed on your screen.